Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to achieve this cool toned matte eyeshadow look, and I'm mostly going to be using new products, or new to me at least. So I'm going to start off with this RMS Beauty ReEvolve foundation. Now I've just started back on my Tretton hydroquinone ahead of the summer to keep my melasma at bay, and for me this foundation does not work if you have dry skin. Even with my oily combination skin, I've really become accustomed to wearing a foundation that's a little bit more hydrating and lightweight than this particular product. So for me, I don't think I'd even like it without having slightly drier skin. From the website I can see there's around 16 shades. It does say it's water resistant and sweat resistant. It does say it's a natural finish, which I would agree. It's kind of not dewy and it's not completely matte, but it is high pigment. As you can see, I've really needed to blend that in with my beauty blender rather than my fingers. It says it's medium coverage, but I'd definitely say for me it's kind of more full coverage because of that high pigment. These are launching tomorrow from Huda Beauty. They are the new Matte Obsessions. There's two palettes, a cool tone and a warm, and I thought, you know what, we've done warm tones so many times, so let's do a cool tone. It is cool, but it's still a pink palette, which I'm definitely less of a fan of. I'd really like to see something from Huda Beauty that steered away from the pinks, because every palette I've received from her, in my opinion, still has a very pinky undertone. I'm going into this shade here, which is a cream to powder matte, so it's a little bit different to your standard creamy matte eyeshadow. This really is like a cream, but it does set to a powder, so it's quite nice to work with, a little bit unusual. I'm using a brush that isn't synthetic, it's natural hair, so it has made the bristles clump together. I didn't realise it was a creamy product until I shoved my brush into it. So if you're going to dip your bristles into the two cream to powder matte shades, make sure you use a synthetic bristle brush. So I'm taking this shade on the outer half of the eyelid, going slightly above the socket on the outer third. So I have created a bit more of a winged shape just to elongate the eye slightly. I've taken this out perpendicular to the highest point of the middle of the eyelid, and then it comes back to the corner of the eye. So think of it as a bit of a box that's been skewed slightly. We now want to create a transition between the shade that we've just applied and the first shade that we've got on the eyelid. I'm going to take this brush by Eldridge, which is beautiful, so soft, and we're going to work this over the top of that eyeshadow and then kind of feather between the two shades that we've applied, and also work this through the socket. So this will work as a bit of a transitional shade, which means it blends between those two, and it means this will be the highest colour that we take up towards that brow bone. There won't be a colour that goes higher than this. So this will transition into the skin. That's why it's called a transitional shade. I will link Lisa's brushes down below for you. They are so beautiful. I have 3 of them. I'm not sure if she has more than 3, but they are so beautiful. I'm now going into the darkest shade in the palette, going back to a flat shaded brush, and I'm applying this on the outer third of the mobile lid. So we're going from the eyelash line up to where the eye naturally creases, so it meets that colour that we've got going through the socket. And again, we're keeping this on a slight angle. Like we applied that first shade where the cube is slightly skewed, this gives a lifted look to the eyes because you're transitioning that colour up at an angle, which gives a lifted look to your lid. Then we're going back in with our Eldridge blending brush to soften over the top of this so it blends into the shades we've already got around it. Matte shades do tend to be harder to blend, so feel free to dip your brush back into your transitional shade and feather this over the top, because that will help with your blending. You can also go back in with your flat shader brush and use a patting motion to feather between the two eyeshadows. And I say feather because I'm using a light hand when I do this. Here I'm looking straight into a mirror to make sure I can see the transitional shade when I'm looking directly in front of me. Another new product to launch from Huda Beauty are 2 Kohl pencils. These are super creamy and incredibly waterproof. I have a short coming tomorrow which will show you just how incredible these are, so keep an eye out for that. I'm taking the black one 3/4 of the way along my lower waterline, and then I'm blinking on to the tip of the pencil to coat my upper waterline all the way from the outer corner to the inner corner. I'm dipping a small smudger brush into the darkest shade from the palette, which we used on our top lash line, to balance our lower eyelash line. This is going as close to the root of your lower eyelashes as possible. Then we're going in with our blending brush and the transitional shade to soften the lower half of this dark eyeshadow. Now don't forget, this does need to connect with our top lash line. That's going to frame the eye, so make sure when you go to the outer edge, you round it off slightly so that they connect. Then we're going back to our Creamy Kohl pencil by Huda Beauty, and we're running this on the outer third of our top lash line, really close to the root and slightly thicker on the outer edge. And before it sets in place, we're going to blend that in with our smudger brush. This is great if you have hooded eyes. This particular pencil is great if you have hooded eyes because it's not going to migrate, and it will deepen your eyelash line so that your mascara and your lashes look fuller on the outer edge. So I'm kind of using what's left on the bristles to pull that forward, so it's just more of a smudge as it reaches the middle of the top lash line. For mascara, I'm using this new Telescopic Lift by Loreal. The wand is a comb and it's really similar in its shape to the Charlotte Tilbury Push Up Lashes mascara, which I absolutely love. I feel like they've modelled it on that. It's also much blacker than the original Telescopic, so you can see the difference. I feel like the original Telescopic is quite grey black, whereas the new one is super black. Initially, I loved how this went on. I really feel like it separates and coats all of your eyelashes, and it has a really nice lift to it. It really does sort of keep your lashes up as opposed to them sinking down because they're damp. I think the reason they stay in place quite well is because it dries quite quickly. The only thing I found was it did flake a little bit, but overall I did think it was really nice, and it also removed quite well. Usually a brand new mascara takes a week or two for some air to get in there before it's the kind of right thickness for your eyelashes, but this was great off the bat. I am going to put some eyelashes on today. I'm reaching for my favourite LashBase Beauty. These are the FP05. These are great if you want some lift but you don't like too much volume because these are quite spiky. So you get the length and the spike but they don't overwhelm your eyeshadow. I have a 10% discount code whether you're in the UK or the US. I have a different code for each, but I will link them in the description bar for you. Now I'm going to move back onto the skin. I'm taking the Trinny London BFF Serum Eye Concealer. I have the shade Alice. This is great if you have slightly more mature skin and you find that most concealers are either too heavy or they dry down and make your eyes look crepey. This will not do that. This is brilliant. It's quite emollient, so that's why it doesn't create the crepiness, but at the same time it's not so emollient that it keeps shifting. If I get any movement, I will use my finger to put it back in place, and I don't like to set it for that very reason. Next I'm going in with the HD Skin All-in-One Face Palette by Makeup Forever. I've had this a while, so it's not necessarily new, but I rarely reach for it, and I think I've only ever used it once in a tutorial, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to include it today because it's a great palette. I have the H1 light to medium, so I'm using the contour shade around the circumference of my face just to add a little bit of warmth and a tiny bit of shape. These are creams, so preferably apply them before you set any of your skin. Going back to RMS Beauty, I'm taking this lip to cheek creamy multitasker, which is buildable, in the shade Lost Angel. I was a little bit disappointed with this colour. I really thought it was going to be a bit more vivid in its colour payoff, but it really didn't do much for me at all. So I'm just going over the top of that around the circumference of my lips with the MAC Boldly Bare pencil. This would just frame the lips, and then I'm going over that with the Lisa Eldridge Songbird Gloss Embrace Lip Gloss. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see that I put the swatches up of all the lip glosses the other day. They are beautiful. Then I'm going to take this blush shade from the Makeup Forever palette and I'm going to mix that with Lisa Eldridge's Elevated Glow in Cosmic Rose, and this is going to give me a really nice glowy cream blush. I decided to go more neutral with the lips and the cheeks rather than too pinky because the eyes are really quite pink. I'm definitely going to start mixing that Elevated Glow with a few more of my cream blushes because I love the glow it gives. So that completes today's cool toned matte eyeshadow look using a bunch of new products. Let me know what your favourite product was in the comment section below, and I will list and link everything I've used in the description bar along with any discount codes as well. Please hit the subscribe button if you are new to my channel and hit the like button if you enjoyed the tutorial. Please follow me outside of YouTube over on Instagram where I'm most active, and I will see you in a few days with another tutorial. Don't forget to check out tomorrow's short using the Huda Beauty cream pencils. They are mind blowing. Bye guys!